I'm your host, Susanna May O'Hagan, and today we're going to be talking more about Sylvia Browne. I didn't want to make them like 20 minutes long, so let me know, do you prefer them 20 minutes long, 15 minutes? How many minutes would you prefer? Let me know in the comments below. Be respectful though. Okay. Was wrong, invalid, and when the case would be solved. By October 2007, 3 of the suspected pleaded guilty and were sentenced for Haynes' murder. The Montel Williams Show and the other media outlets have been silent about this and other cases. In fact, a full transcript of the show no longer exists on LexisNexis. Instead, there's only a brief summary that excludes the affirmation details. The author had to seek the transcript and video by other means to include the details in this article. Browne's failure to extensive to explore in detail here, and more famous ones, such as the Sean Hernbeck's case, have been explored in the magazines before. For the sake of briefly, we have compiled a list of names of people Browne has performed readings about. Some of the cases marked unknown were already solved by law enforcement. They know who most likely committed the crime, but the suspects were never brought to justice and the cases went cold. So they are still officially unsolved and open. In other cases, Browne was consulted to confirm the family's suspicion, determine how to bringing the likely proprietors to justice or provide more information. This makes her prediction even less impressive, as she is solving exhaustive cases that the police have already in large part solved and about which she can say almost anything, since any new developments are highly unlikely. On the other hand, some are official accidents and suicides that the family feared were actual murders. Among the many harmful things that Browne does is convince the loved ones of victims of untimely deaths that foul play was involved, and controversially convince the loved ones of murder victims that no foul play was involved. However, in the families are correct in their suspicions, and these are actual murders. The last thing they need is a psychic involved in the case. The conclusion: these 115 cases prove devastating to Browne's claims of helping police and families. It is hard to understand how someone with such a dismal record continually tops bestseller lists and maintains a following. In a 2000s interview, Browne explained it best. "I've always said to so many people, you're only as good as your last reading. If you're not good, if you're not accurate, if you're not finding missing people, and you don't work with doctors and do health diagnosis with them, then you're not good. Indeed, we agree on that point." Judging from Browne's lack of accuracy, it seems safe to conclude that, in her own words, she is not good. So if she really helped police, then one would expect a significant number of cases to be solved. Using Browne's predictions, the only question that remains is why people continue supporting and seeking her advice. A list of cases Browne was wrong about. So I have nothing against Browne. I don't know anything about her personally. I only read these cases of the case of Leanna Warner, which we will talk about at some point. Erica Baker, November 19, 2003. On Montel Brown told Erica's mother she's not dead, but in Michigan. Furthermore, Brown claims someone sold her for drugs and there was a black woman who helped throw her in an old truck. In 2005, Christiana John was convicted of moving and concealing Erica's body in Ohio. Her body was not found, but Gabriel claimed to have buried it after hitting her with his van. Jamie Banker. In February 2001 on Montel Brown, 2 months after Baker fell from a bridge while working. Yeah, excuse me, that had to be painful, y'all. Brown told his widow he died quick and his body's on the site. There's no doubt about it, but they won't find it unless they dig, and I don't think they will. 2 months later, Baker's body was discovered downstream in Lostell. An autopsy discovered he suffered no broken bones or head injury and the 15-story fall, but instead drowned. That is a big fall. Eva Brown, September 3rd, 1999. On Montel Brown told the family that Eve Brown is well and living in Florida. This was not true, as Eve's body was found a year later at Brooklyn, New York construction site, 13 miles from where she was last seen. The murder remains unsolved. Terrence Farmer, okay, I'm not sure how to say that. Terrence Brown told a woman that Terrence, a firefighter involved in 9/11, was alive. She was wrong. His body was found in the rubble 1 month later. Ooh, that was a hard day for everyone in the U.S. Erica, September 24th, 1998, on Montel. Erica was missing in 1997. Brown did a reading for her mother, saying she was in water and someone named Chris killed her. The following day, Erica's boyfriend, Chris, killed himself. Police and Chris' alibi checked out, and he was not a suspect. Chris's mother sued Montel Williams, his production, Paramount Pictures, and Inc., but the case was eventually dismissed. After the broadcast, the police searched the nearby lakes and found nothing. Police say Erica is still a missing person and continue to investigate. Robert Haynes, April 26, 2006, on Montel. Sean, February 26, 2003, told Sean's parents he was dead, but he was found alive in 2007. Sharon James' son discussed January 19, 2007 on CNN. Andrew Cooper, 360, Brown claimed she located James' son, but James was not so positive and would not have used Brown's service in hindsight. Opal Joe Jennings. Man, I'm getting tired. I had a long day yesterday, so I am tired today, to be honest. I love the name Opal. Joe Jennings. Yeah, we don't need to go over that again. Ryan Ketchner. February 11, 2004, on Montel. Ketchner went missing, and Brown told his mother 2 boys got terribly frightened and then dropped him in a metal shaft of some kind. Brown further said he is still in the shaft, close to 25 to 26, maybe 27 miles from where you would be. On July 25, 2006, police found Ryan in his truck underwater in a pond, and an autopsy showed he was under the influence. According to a discussion with Ryan's mother on StopSylvia.com, Browne got more details wrong, but those parts were edited before the broadcast. Richard Kneebone. Okay. According to Teresa, Browne said she feels he's not dead and that he could be traveling in Canada and have potential amnesia. His badly decomposed body was found July 7th, a few blocks from the tavern where he was last seen in San Jose, California. Holly, November 27, 2002 on Montel. Angie Lee, March 28, 2007 on Montel. Browne told Angie's mother it's a serial killer. Well, jeez. Who killed a college girl that was responsible for Angie's stabbing death, and there's a knife somewhere in that intimate location that may have DNA. Many have some sort of evidence on it. In 2008, Anthony Abishi pleaded guilty to the murder, and the motive for the crime was home invasion and resident burglary. Yeah, they, robbed them. Furthermore, a knife was not part of the evidence. DNA evidence from Anthony's gun and witness caused him to plead guilty. The law enforcement involved remarked the psychic did not prove any subsequent leads. How many are there? Whoa, more than I thought there were. I didn't think there was this many. We could read off the list though. Whoa. Crystal, John, Michael, Amanda Berry. She got Amanda Berry way wrong. Kevin Brown, Michael, Frank, Jane, Sherry, Johnson. There's so many. I don't know if I could go through all of them. Okay. Okay. I have no idea. I'm just going to call it C. July 17th, 2001 on Fox News, Browne said Elle's body was in some tree down in a mushy area. She made this prediction when it was publicly known that police were searching Rock Creek Park since someone used CHANDRA. Lee's computer to find directions to the park. Benjamin Rafford noted the remains are found across a steep incline in a heavily wooded area, perhaps near some trees, but clearly not in a mushy area, since a mush located on an incline is graphically impossible. Linda. March 13, 2007 on Motel, Browne said it's not dead, but in Orlando, Florida, taken by a man with the initials MJ. We talked about this one, so I'm going to skip over it. Ashley, in February 2000 on Montel, according to the Associated Press, Browne said Ashley's killing would be solved within a year and 2 months. According to the Scarborough Police Department, the crime is still unsolved. Laura, September 10, 2003 on Montel, Browne said Laura was killed by a stalker who got kicks out of that, but there was not necessary DNA at the scene and he was wearing gloves. In 2006, William, Pleasant's friend, admitted to killing Laura after the police found DNA that linked to him. While on the stand, he told Junior he wiped the knife clean to avoid leaving fingerprints. Scott R. Dan Nelson and Roger D. March 1990 on Montel. According to the Associated Press, Browne told the families their loved ones had died in a boating accident near the Everglades in a hovercraft. She gave them the name of a man who allegedly owned the boat. Police followed Browne's lead and found nothing. Later, their bodies were discovered in their SUV in a drain rotation pond. Authorities believe they missed a sharp turn at the unlit corner and their car flipped into the water. Wayman Robertson, May 7, 2003, on Montel. On Robertson's murder, Browne said, "This was other kids. They were playing this stupid game," she further claimed. "There were 2 or 3 other kids that did it, but I don't think the kids meant to. And one of the kids, named Danny, Warman's uncle, straightened him in front of his sister and was convicted of murder." Oh, okay. The kid's is named Danny. Warman's uncle strangled him in front of his sister and was convicted of murder. San Diego mine disaster we talked about. Donna Starfenfield, February 1997, on Montel. I'm so sick of saying Montel. Browne said the murderer was an out-of-state construction worker that no one connection to Donna, choosing her on a whim. 9 years later, Johnson Vick was convicted of the murder following witness and DNA evidence. Vick was a local high school student who attempted to go on dress dates with Donna, but she rejected his advances. Shannon, November 19, 2003, on the show, Browne claimed Shannon, who went missing in 1986, was brainwashed and raised in a different family but is alive, and the case will break open soon. As of 2009, Shannon's whereabouts are unknown and the case is unsolved. John, in May 14, 2003, said Indigenous killed John, and his body was disposed in the water and would not be found. In June 2003, John's body was found in shallow grave. In 2006, his killer, a pawnbroker, and his son were found guilty of the murder. Richard, October 20th, 2004, on Montel, Browne told Richard's widow that she would have a healthy baby boy. The June 28, 2009 update on Montel reported the baby was a girl and died 5 months premature. However, this segment Browne making any predictions about the pregnancy. Terry Webb, October 20th, 1997, on Montel. According to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, his daughter said Browne told them she believed he was killed 6 months after he disappeared and his body is buried somewhere at Fort Bragg. At the time of the reading, Webb had his list as AWOL, and was missing. I'm laughing because AOL, wow. Since 1991. In 2004, his body was eventually found buried under a shed in, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. In 2006, the suspect pleaded guilty, saying he shot Webb in self-defense when he sexually assaulted him, and was given 3 years in prison. After the arrest, Montel did a follow-up on September 15, 2004, but the segment Browne giving any specifics, including the location of Webb's body. Okay. She must talk to me. Okay. Let's go back to this one. This one's fun. It's our first evening aboard, and there she is, sitting on the throne. Okay, we did this. The audience listens politely. For all the time Sylvia gets this psychological wrong, which she does a lot. I sometimes think if she tells you your kid is dead, you should probably presume the child alive, and vice versa. She still has an enormous following. Hundreds of people have paid thousands of dollars each to be cruising with her this week. This is the part because there's a want to pay. This is part because if you pay, I am lost. She still has an enormous following. Hundreds of people have paid thousands of dollars each to be cruising with her this week. This is in part because if you want to pay $750 to have a 30-minute telephone reading with her, there's a waiting list for 4 years. Her critics believe her career can't possibly survive the Sean debacle, but so far there's no sign of it dismissing on the cruise. I don't have a cover story worked out to explain why I'm here. I haven't the heart to say that I have a missing child. Perhaps if anyone asks, I can say I have a missing mother. I don't know anything about my fellow travelers. They mainly look like retired Americans in slacks, a typical tourist party. You wouldn't look twice at them. But then Sylvia draws names out of a hat. If we hear our names called, we are allowed to ask her a single question, only one. Julia, John Smith, Pamela Smith, said Sylvia, and one by one they walked to the microphone in front of the stage. Why did my husband decide to take his own life? Asked the first woman. What? Sylvia says. The woman is crying so hard Sylvia can't understand her. Why did my husband decide to take his own life? The woman repeated. He was bipolar, Sylvia said. The next woman walked to the microphone. I have a strained relationship with my daughter, she begins, and I want to know, your daughter is strange, interrupted Sylvia. Sylvia doesn't pause. Other psychics will often reach around for some inner voice, but Sylvia answers the question instantly in a low, smoky growl, sometimes before the person has even finished asking it. Oh, okay, I just hit my funny bone. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, no. Okay. Your daughter is stubborn, she says. She's selfish, narcissistic, leave her alone. The woman reluctantly nods. Tears roll down her cheeks. Don't get too involved with her, Sylvia says. She'll hurt you. Leave her alone. I don't like her. Thank you, Sylvia, the woman says. I want to yell out. Don't listen to her. Sylvia doesn't know anything about your situation. She's just saying the first thing that comes into her head, but I don't. Am I ever going to have a better relationship with my father? Another woman asks. No, Sylvia replies. He's narcissistic. He has schizophrenia tendencies. Forget it. There's a darkness there. Thank you, Sylvia, she says. Sylvia seems to be psychically diagnosing a lot of people with narcissism personality disorder today. Will you tell me exactly the time and place my father died? The next woman asked. 10 years ago in Idaho. Sylvia says. Idaho, says the woman, surprised. I'm the psychic, Sylvia snaps. I'm telling you, Idaho. Thank you, Sylvia, the woman says, cowed. Next woman asks, what happened to my dog? Is she still alive? No, honey, Sylvia says. The woman bursts into tears. There's no parent for missing children on this cruise, but every other human tragedy is well represented. My son, the next woman says, stops choking on her words. My son met a violent death, she says. I'm sorry, honey, Sylvia says. Is he around me? She asks. Yes, he does come around you, Sylvia says. In fact, he rings the phone. He also drops coins around you. When the phone rings and no one's there, that's him telling people have said to me, that's telemarketers. Have you ever heard of a telemarketer that didn't talk? No. Actually, telemarketer companies use an auto dialing machine called the whatever. He's around you, Sylvia. He has beautiful eyes and oval face. Why is he holding a 30-minute telephone reading with her?
Head.
There's a waiting list
shot
for
in the head
4 years. That's why
critics
he's holding his
believe
head,
her career
can't possibly survive.
says that the mother
Sean says
debacle,
this to the mother,
but
so far there's
but
no
also to
sign
us,
of this.
as if
To say, see everyone, that's a psychic gift. Is it an impressive eyes, moment? An oval face. Why is he holding? It's dinner time in the
head.
Vista.
He was shot in the head, the woman said.
That's why he's holding his
Someone
head,
is at the
Sylvia
front
says.
door.
Sylvia says that the mother says, okay. Okay. Those stories were really sad, I said. That's nothing, says a woman in her 70s who I'll call Evelyn. 3 years ago, I saw Sylvia give a talk in Tampa. A girl in her 30s stood up, really young. She said, I haven't been feeling well. What do you think is wrong with me? And Sylvia replied, do you want the truth, honey? You'll be dead in 2 years. Everyone around the table gasped. At dinner time, Sylvia's nowhere to be found. The girl had to be helped from the room in tears, Evelyn says. I wonder if I should try to track the girl down. I think out loud. Evelyn looked at me as if I'm an idiot. She'll probably be dead, she says. This is only day 2. How many days did you go? I feel like I read something for like 5 days. You went for 5 days and this is a lot of information. Dang, like I've never seen so much information. I mean, you did a really good job on recounting this stuff. Denmark. Sylvia is having the day off, and so are her co-psychic, Claudia, entertains us in the lounge. She's not grouchy and most moronic like Sylvia. She's bouncy and eager to please. She makes us do a great get to know the group exercise. We have to turn to our neighbors and tell them a lie about ourselves. My neighbor is Evelyn. I really like her. She's funny and kind, old lady from New York who does amateur dramatics. She's looking forward to directing a big musical one next year. I say my lie is that I don't have any children. Everyone replies, my lie is that I don't have really bad stomach cramps and I've not scheduled for a colonoscopy when I get home from this cruise. Evelyn looks scared. If Sylvia calls my name out tomorrow, she says, I'm going to ask her about the stomach cramps. They're really bad. They shouldn't be this painful. Later in the jacuzzi near the dolphin sculpture on the Lotto deck, I bump into the woman whose husband committed suicide. Did Sylvia help you last night? I asked. She smiled sadly and shakes her head. No, she says. He wasn't bipolar. He had excruciating psychological pain in his leg. She falls silent. Sylvia didn't help, she says. She's been too polite to say anything at the time. I think Sylvia survives in part because her audience are often too polite to say anything. I feel the need to escape the group. I sneak off to the ship casino and pump money into a slot machine. For the corner of my eye, I see a flash of red and gold approach in a wheelchair. It is Sylvia. Her golden hair cascades down her red dress. She starts pushing money into the machine next to me. And I momentarily overhear conversation. Do you think they'll like it? She asked one of her 4 large and quiet, frightening-looking men who are always around her. They look like the Sopranos. What? He replies. The thing, Sylvia says. You mean the lecture, he says. He sounds surprised, as if this isn't a conversation they have often. Yeah, Sylvia says. She sounds quiet, sweet, and anxious. Do you think they'll enjoy it? They'll love it, he says. Good, Sylvia says. She catches my eye and smiles warmly. In the moment, she's likable, though a suspicion part of me wonders whether she knows I was overhearing and said something sweet for my benefit. There's a website called StopSylvia.com. A computer programmer called Robert Lancaster created it as a hobby. He does it because he writes, I found her work with missing children to be incredibly offensive. The site details many of the notable occasions she got wrong. In the FAQ section, Lancaster asks, Do you think Sylvia believes she is psychic? A. No, I do not. Famous scripts such as James says Sylvia is not a silly person who believes herself to be psychic. They say she is a fraud. Cole reading in the stage of art of convincing a stranger you know more about them than you actually do. I'm a doctor, he replied. That's why I see a hospital. I'm a chiropractor, he added. I work out of an office. I stay away from hospitals. Okay. Now I watch Sylvia play the slots. She is a truly enigmatic person. I am reminded of Shakespeare's line, Who is Sylvia? What is she? What all our swans commend her. Actually, I'm only partly reminded of it because I'm not sure what all our swans commend her means. It might mean all men love her, so if so, there's one swan in particular who doesn't like her. Former husband, Gary. They were married in 1959 when she was 23. She and Gary divorced in 1972. A few months ago, he gave an interview to Robert Lancaster of StopSylvia.com. He said he couldn't remain silent anymore after hearing about how the Sean incident. I tried to get her out of my mind as much as possible, but the damage he does to unsuspecting people in crisis situations is just horrible, is the word I'm going for. And then Gary said something extraordinary. He said that one evening back in the early 70s, Sylvia held a terror party at their home in San Francisco. I said to her as we were washing dishes and she was weeping, I said, Sylvia, how can you tell people this kind of stuff? You know it's not true, and some of these people actually are probably going to believe it. And she says, screw them. Anybody who believes this stuff ought to be taken. In return, Sylvia has called him a liar and dark soul entity, but at least that gave me children. I think we'll stop there. I find this woman very interesting. And I will link in the comments below the places I got this information. I don't know if you believe in Sylvia or not, but it is kind of interesting to see like who doesn't, who does. Okay, I hope you all have a great wonderful day. I hope you all learned something about this. Let me know, do you want shorter videos, longer videos, in between? Okay, have a great and wonderful day. Bye for now.